Alright, we should be live. We are back. We are working on Teval, Arbiter of Virtue. Here she is in case you need a reminder of how she works. And she is currently at 73 spells. We need to make 13 more cuts before Teval is done. And you would think having another 13 cards off the list wouldn't take 2+ hours, but you don't know me very well, and you have not been paying attention to how difficult this deck build has been. This might not be a single stream finish here. Yeah, Tevel has been a struggle to cut cards from. From over 100 cards, needing to get down to 60 spells, she has been difficult. There are a lot of cards that are not on this list that I am sad about already, and we still need to cut more stuff. So, I need to figure this one out. Preferably, we should have it done before the pre-release. Between today and tomorrow it should be done, but I'm not 100% on that being true. I'm like 90% on that being true, and that's still, it's only 13 cards, and I'm going to take 2+ hours to cut 13 cards and then figure out the mana base. I legit might. What is left on this list that I can cut and be like, yeah, that's ultimately fine. I would rather have all of these cards than this. There's not enough situations where I desperately want to draw this card that I'm willing to leave it in and take out one of these other cards instead. So I need to find all 13 of those cards that are still on this list and get rid of them, and I don't know what they are. Burden Sun's Avatar. I need to gain life. I need to gain a lot of life in order to be able to keep casting my spells comfortably. I know me. I know how I act when I hit Bolus's Citadel in play. When you tell me I can cast spells very cheaply by paying life instead of mana, which is not what Tevel does, but is kind of what Tevel does. I need cards in the graveyard also, but I'm trading my life in order to be able to cast spells way ahead of schedule or way too many in a single turn. So I need ways to replenish my life because I will go to single digits from full or greater with a Bolus's Citadel in play. So if I don't hit one of the other bottlenecks on Tevel first, I will spend almost my entire life total within a couple turns just to cast big splashy spells for almost no actual mana spent. So I need ways to gain large amounts of life. And the Avatar not only rebates me life on every one of these big flashy creatures that I cast, but we also have a bunch of cards that give me small creatures for cards leaving my graveyard. Typically creatures, but not always. Some of them do just give me a creature each time one or more cards leave my graveyard. So I'm assuming that all of the cards are leaving at the same time, that I'm not exiling them one at a time to cast my spells, that it's a single instance. I choose the cards and then they all go. Because that's the way that Arena does it, where you choose all the cards when you're delving, and then all those cards leave the graveyard at the same time. So we should only get one trigger even on the ones that aren't one or more wording. But that's still a 2/2, a free 2/2 every time we cast a spell, which is essentially another 2 life rebate per one of these effects that is active. And they're not all creatures either, so a Wrath doesn't necessarily stop me from having something in play that will rebate me more life for creatures later on, or just get me more creatures to replace the ones that are dying anyway. So, we might need to get Verdenson's avatar back later in order to gain life off of them, but they're still fine afterwards too. So there's not as much disincentive to overload the board with them early, since some of the effects will still be around afterwards. Unless it's Farewell, because Farewell is like the bane of every deck that I build anymore. I'm trying to get a critical mass of permanents in play. Well, then you better be able to deal with this thing. Yeah, Farewell is one of my boogeymen in the format. Like, not Thassa's Oracle, but kind of way up there as far as I need to have a response to this card, or accept that I'm going to lose when people play it. Because I tend to build decks that just fold super hard to Farewell, because I'm trying to amass what I was about to say is a critical mass of something. And in the case of Teval, we're just casting big splashy spells. So sometimes Farewell will get us because it will get the things that we played and our resources to play other things. And sometimes it won't because we're casting, like, big, splashy, non-permanent spells or things that don't need to be in play to have done their thing already, like Mindslaver, so... But yeah, I want something that's gaining me tons of life, and we have other things that are gaining me life also. So it's going to be one of those things that's like, do I cut this because I don't have room for it? Like, if I lose this thing, my primary ways of gaining life start becoming damaging other players. Like, most of my ways to gain life involve me actually having to turn a creature sideways and get through for damage. And that can be problematic sometimes. Like, sometimes I just don't have good attacks, and I need to be able to gain life in order to keep casting spells to try and get a good attack position. So, I want some things that will gain me life, and we've cut a lot of the less impressive cards in that category, but now we're at the point where almost all of my life gain is coming from damage, I think. Like, if we actually look at it. I don't think I can cut Muldrotha. I really don't. Like, Muldrotha is a tiny bit tempting because she's such a huge removal magnet that it's hard to get more than a card out of her most of the time. Like, if you have ever been in a game of Commander and somebody has cast Muldrotha, it becomes one of those, yeah, this is like 5 free spells every turn cycle if I don't kill it. You know, they're going to get to cast, like, a stupid creature and, like, one of their dead artifacts or enchantments back. They get to play a land. Like, it's very easy for Muldrotha to be, like, 2 cards, like, playing a land and casting a single spell every turn cycle. Like, Muldrotha is just a 2 for 0 after the first turn. And and then, like, there will be times where she is literally a 5 for 1. Where you get to cast, like, an artifact, an enchantment, a creature, and a planeswalker and play a land off of her. Like, because none of this stuff is super expensive. So, Muldrotha is one of those cards that you typically don't see live very long in games that aren't going to end in the favor of the Muldrotha player in a couple of turns anyway. So, kind of needs to die, and most people are aware of that. And so she will. So the question is, are we running her? Are we fine running her knowing that she's going to die with the hopes that we're going to get her back the first time or two that she dies and recast her? And they'll have to deal with her again, and we'll get, like, incremental value out of her each time. Because if I get to play Muldrotha, play a land, and cast anything, and you do want to do that in that order, too, if you can. Like, playing the land first, because no player gets priority to respond to the land, unless the land has a comes into play trigger. Then you might want to cast your spell first. Like, if you actually have landfall gain life, then you might legit want to cast your spell first, so I don't kill Muldrotha in response to the life gain trigger from the landfall. I think we've cut all of our landfall gain life triggers, things like that, but that's still a thing to keep in mind. Like, if playing a land triggers anything, you don't actually get to hold priority through playing the land and casting the spell with Muldrotha. So. But we should be able to get like a land and a spell's worth of value out of Muldrotha as long as we have any leftover mana after casting her. Especially because Teval will let us cast something larger for only a couple mana. Yeah, I'm super disinclined to cut Muldrotha, but that is a very vague possibility because she's very difficult to keep in play long enough to do anything useful with her. But this is the deck that's going to be able to do that, I feel like. Lithoform Engine. We cut all of the other ones, but Lithoform is the strongest one of the I can pay some extra mana to get more out of my spell. We've cut all of the kicker, basically, all of the all the kicker variants except for the Cyclonic Rift's Overload. So there's not a whole lot of spending full price on mana and being able to exile from the graveyard to benefit that, and getting like way more spell for the amount of damage that we're taking. But Lithoform Engine really, really helps with that. Like, if we can exile enough fodder from our graveyard that we can copy the big spell that we're casting. Like, there's not a single one that isn't legendary in my deck that wouldn't be awesome to copy. And depending on how much we're spending on things, like, I'm imagining copying Expropriate, Doppelgang, Exsanguinate, like, any of these. Also of note, for a card like Exsanguinate, if we copy it on the stack, with Lithoform Engine, we can put the copy on the stack above Teval's damage trigger, which for a card like Exsanguinate is kind of huge because then we could potentially gain all of the life from the first Exsanguinate, from the copy Exsanguinate resolving before we'll take the damage from Teval for having cast the original one. Which is kind of a big deal for this deck. We can get into positions where we're dying from casting our spell that would have gained us life if we could have just not died from casting it in the first place. So, I really don't want to lose Lithoform Engine. Plus, I just genuinely love Lithoform Engine. It's one of my favorite Magic cards ever. I love copying my stuff. It was worth casting the first time. It is probably worth like 4 more mana to cast again. There are very few spells that are so redundant, and even then, sometimes it's like, I'm gonna counter your spell. It's like, okay, I'm gonna copy it on the stack in response then, and now you have to counter the copy also. Because that was one of my favorite things about the card that most closely mimics, which is the Mirari. I used to love Mirari in Control Mirrors. Like, if you could stick that thing, then anytime you can pay 3 when you cast a spell, they have to counterspell it twice now. Just makes it nearly impossible for the other control deck. Like, I'm gonna cast counterspell, and I'm going to copy counterspell. So, I'm a huge fan of Lithoform Engine because of that. I love Jin-Gitaxias in this deck. It's such an obnoxious card. Like, him just getting to counter spell. I did not realize 2 letters reversed. I'm so used to there just being random red text in here anyway, because of all of the proper names and everything, and technical terms and whatnot. That the word just does not want to accept. Shigeki, I need ways to buy back my stuff too, so we kind of need Shigeki. Love Sholdred in this deck. Sholdred falls in the same problem as Muldrotha. She's just gonna eat a removal spell before I get to do the thing that I really want to do with her. Because she deserves to. Like, not because people are bad at assessing threats either. It's just like, no, this is Sholdred. I was planning on drawing cards at some point in time during this game. I need to kill her. She is going to be an issue. We probably still need to cut, like, 2 or 3 removal spells, like pieces of interaction, but I still don't know which ones. Like, I've already cut a bunch of them, including ones that I desperately wanted to keep. And we're getting to the point where if I keep cutting them, I'm going to not have answers to things when I really need to have answers to things. I'm going to keep the chalk outline. I'm going to be so sad if I have to cut Glarb. He just seems so perfect in the deck with all my big splashy spells, but also that he can still play land off the top and that he can surveil. And he's not a terrible body to have in play either. You know, it will stop, like, the non-trampling Doomsday creature from just wandering over to say hi to me. Opponent attacking with a 10/10 that doesn't trample because I made a giant token or something means that I can trade off with it. I'll still have probably gotten a few cards worth of value off of Glarb before then, before Devastation Twins tried to kill me. But that's the problem here. Every single card left on this list has a purpose. And I know what that purpose is, and I want it to be in the deck so I can do things with it, and and that's just not possible. We need 13 more cards to leave this deck, and maybe I don't need Expropriate and Time Stretch. Like, maybe one or the other is good enough. The problem is that Expropriate is the better card, but exiles itself. And I do think that too. Like, you're going to get at least one turn out of Expropriate anyway, but stealing all of their best stuff of your choice. Like, Expropriate doesn't even let them give you things so that way they can give you minor stuff. Like, you just get to take what you want from each player. And I think most of the time that's better than the second extra turn. And there's always a chance that somebody has something they really just can't let you take. So if you get the actual full time stretch plus a stolen permanent in a 3-player game, like, that's already insane. And this one's 1 less mana than time stretch also. But you only get to do it once. Because while Expropriate will not go to the graveyard, Time Stretch will, and we absolutely can get something back. So, will we? And will this be the thing that we're getting back? Sometimes, sometimes we will actually loop time stretches forever and just take all of the turns. I don't think we have an innate way to do that, because we need to be able to get Eternal Witness killed and bring her back. I think. Like, for all of my recursion cards, I don't have a ton of ways to get an instant or sorcery where I can keep casting it over and over again. So yeah, maybe we don't need Time Stretch. Yeah, I'm trying to find things I can cut and still feel alright about, and keeping Expropriate and losing Time Stretch is probably okay. I'm wondering if we cut Commander deck Teval. Like, second Teval. This one's a 4-mana 4/4. It has to attack. It's not an ETB. It has to attack to mill me 3 cards. And then I can get a land back. And getting a card out of my graveyard makes a zombie. Like, I definitely want the Judgment, and the chalk outline is limited to creatures, but that's fine. And I think the one from the Clue set, Amzu, is making a better creature most of the time. Like, it's really hard for me to exile nothing but 0 drops out of my graveyard for Amzu to only make a 1/1. And even then, that 1/1 has Menace because of Amzu, so maybe I don't. Since I cut all the ways to give haste, and this Tevel basically does nothing, just as a 4-mana 4/4 dragon, yeah, I can talk myself into that now. We have 3 other effects that are making bodies when cards leave my graveyard, and now only one of them is a creature, so I don't have to worry about wrath effects killing my ability to make more bodies as much. Alright, so we cut Tevel, like other Tevel. Sometimes I will make the joke about cutting my commander and go, nah, we should probably leave her in there. But this one, because there are 2 Tevels, we can actually cut a Tevel. But then I'm sitting there going, oh, we should cut Tevel from my Tevel commander deck. But I think we actually should. And yeah, I think Time Stretch goes. We just lean on Expropriate. Oops. Spiral. Time Stretch. So we still have Mindslaver, Exsanguinate, Ulamog, Noxious Gearhulk, Muldrotha, Jingataxis, Doppelgang, Ugin, Expropriate, Archon, Profane Transfusion, Will of the Temor, Lord of Change, and Alpha Deathclaw from my big splashy spells. So I think I can part with one of my Doomsday devices and still be feared throughout the galaxy. Alright, so we cut those 2. Go down to 71. $11 more cards need to go. I really like Grim Feast in this deck, but it's also one of those cards where I can cut it. What are my other life gain things? Where are my life gain sublists? Yes, multiple life gain sublists. Alright, so big payoffs. This should be the life gain one, right? So, Polluted Bonds, Blood Chief Ascension, Exsanguinate, Fangren Marauder, Exquisite Blood, Whip of Erebos, Noxious Gearhulk, Verdant Suns, Ugin, Archive, Bloodthirsty Conqueror, Archon of Cruelty, Profane Transfusion, and Scavenging Ooze. I really like Grim Feast for any Wrath killing all of my opponent's things and just giving me a giant pile of life. It does still require their things dying. So either it has to be happening naturally over the course of the game, it has to be something where somebody's like, okay, I need to kill your thing, and I don't care if this other person gains life because of that. I just need to not die because you're more worried about me than the other person right now. That other person being me in this hypothetical situation. The other thing is that Grim Feast is more innocuous. Like, nobody is killing this thing specifically, unless they suddenly realize how bad it's about to get for them. Like, if you tell somebody they can kill one of my enchantments, just looking at the rest of the cards on this sublist, Polluted Bonds, Blood Chief Ascension, and Whip of Erebos, and Exquisite Blood all kind of need to go more than Grim Feast does. So, very tempted to cut Grim Feast at this point. Grim Feast is one of those cards I keep when I find a deck that wants to gain a ton of life, I keep putting it on the list, and then it winds up getting cut because it's not quite good enough. Yeah, I feel like this is one of those, it's a casualty of me not having enough room. Like, I'm not exactly light on life gain. I think the weakest life gain cards are the Archon of Cruelty and the Scavenging Ooze, as far as just straight up life gain goes, and that might not even be fair to Archon. Like, it's gaining me as much life in most cases as Ugin is. The fact that I can't give it haste anymore does mean that I don't get the second trigger immediately, but I think that's fine overall. Like, we don't need haste on most of our creatures, so. And we're still getting value from the Archon just hitting the battlefield. And the Scavenging Ooze is here to be our graveyard hate card. The fact that it gains me life is why it's in here over, like, Nezumi Grave Robber as my primary graveyard hate card, so. Yeah, I need to make room. Give me Grim Feast. The other cards are just stronger overall, I think. If you told me I could have a castable Grim Feast or a castable Polluted Bonds in like the first 5 turns of the game, I'm probably more inclined to Polluted Bonds. That's another one where I don't have, like, I have a little less control over Polluted Bonds than I do Grim Feast. In fact, technically I have no control over whether or not Polluted Bonds triggers, but that's really bad for the opponent if they can't play lands. Like, Commander is by default a big mana format, which is why Teval is so good. So if you literally cannot play lands to make sure you have enough mana to cast all of your big spells in a single turn, you're going to be in trouble. So while nobody's being forced to play lands, if they're not playing lands, they're missing out on a very important resource, and most of the time that is going to be worth taking a little damage and giving me some life. And also, we have Sholdred that should be on this list for life gain also. Not that she's going to get to gain me much life, because she is definitely going to die. Alright, other Teval was on this list, and I forgot to grab it. I'm thinking, I don't need to search for Teval, it's just going to bring me other Teval. And it's like, yeah, no, you had one Teval down here. Yeah, I think that's going to be... I keep thinking I'm done cutting self-mill cards, because I do need to be able to, mill myself, set up for Teval coming down. Alright, here's the removal package. What, if anything, can I still afford to cut? Because we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Is nearly a third of the deck is interaction, but some of the cards on the interaction list are also on the big splashy spells list. They're on... Are any of them on a life gain sub list or something? No. Oh, Noxious Gearhulk is. I don't know what else I can comfortably cut. These are all my card draw spells. I think we've cut enough from card draw at this point. Ramp is a finely tuned machine. This is probably the least amount of ramp I've ever run in a deck for Commander. I don't know, maybe my Rourke Thar deck is close to this, but I don't think so. If I'm not cutting cards from sublists that have some amount of redundancy, then I need to be cutting unique and random cards, and that also feels awful. Alright, let's get rid of Grim Feast. Be sad about it. Down to 70. 10 more cuts. Don't want to cut Anzu. Makes giant bodies, potentially, for free for me doing the thing that I was going to do anyway. Deathclaw is 2 removal spells in a trench coat. It's literally anything, straight up Vindicate. Can get around Torpor Orb effects by having the activated ability be what kills the thing. And then just is a big scary body on top of that. The only problem might be that we don't get to discount the monstrosity cost at all. So that's a locked in 7, so it's 9 mana to play and activate in the same turn if we can exile 6 cards, or I'm sorry, 4 cards. It's a 6 drop, but we can only exile 4 cards for it. Lord of Change is a 6/6 flying ward 3 treasure cruise in this deck. I think that's too good, especially when I have a couple reanimate spells still in the deck too. Just buy this thing back and have, a large flying creature that I gained 3 cards out of getting into play. I love Ancestral Recall. I will play the black Ancestral Recall that domes me for 7 and leaves me with a 6/6 flyer. Judgment I don't think I can cut. That plays too well into what Teval's doing. And it's her judgment after all, and she is the Arbiter. More so than any other card. That's gotta make the main deck. Temur is probably too good. Need card draw, and the 4/4 dragon copy of one of my things is certainly not irrelevant. Guardianship. Grace's Judgment I don't think I can cut. Yeah, when I'm looking for removal spells in my green-black decks, Windgrace's Judgment is like top 5 every single time. I'm pretty sure it's Casualties, Windgrace's Judgment, Assassin's Trophy. Like, those are the 3 that need to be in the deck. And then it's figuring out what else I want to run based on what the commander is and what it's trying to do. I think those 3 are basically staples in any green-black deck I assemble. Not cutting Profane Transfusion, it does way too much work in this deck. So it's the opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, and loses 3 life. I draw a card and gain 3 life. Yeah, I don't think I can cut that. It's just doing way too many different things that I'm interested in. Need to cut it. Ten more cards. What are the 10 worst or least synergistic cards left on this list? What can I possibly cut that is a spell? Because I can definitely cut like 1 or 2 of the non-basic lands, but that doesn't help anything. I lean super close to the microphone. Man, I'm gonna feel bad when I cut Glarb. That doesn't even feel correct. Like, Glarb's, he's not on the self-mill list, I don't think, but he still does that in addition to all of the card advantage that he gives you. Like, he seems like a very, very good card on this list. But I can't go down 10 lands, so something's gotta give. If I'm thinking about cutting Muldrotha because she doesn't live long enough to do anything, I have to think about cutting Sholdred. She also does not live long enough to do much. But if she doesn't get exiled, there's always a chance we buy her back and recast her and keep forcing opponents to kill her until she gets exiled. I so don't want to cut Lithoform Engine. Just incredibly good. But it's like cut Lithoform Engine or cut one of the spells that I want to be copying with Lithoform Engine. Kind of where I'm getting close to right now. Technically, that's where I'm at. Like, without cutting Lithoform Engine, I have to cut at least one spell that I would like to copy with Lithoform Engine, because that's kind of how this works right now. Thinking about Heroic Intervention, trying to talk myself into it, and I'm struggling. Like, I struggled with Grim Feast, but I got it onto the list. This one's a lot harder to, like, actually slide over onto the cut pile. Because it's doing a lot more for us than a counterspell would if everybody else's things are still dying. Or if I need everybody else's things to die. Like, I'm casting Damnation, for example. Yeah, I don't think I can cut Heroic Intervention yet. Possibly at all, but definitely this is a yet kind of situation. Erebos definitely isn't going. Cyclonic Rift, Exquisite Blood. It's the Fangren Marauder. Like, we already cut the Grim Feast. Is it also the Fangren Marauder? I've lost my food token generation. We still have clues. Think we still have a little bit of treasure. It is very similar to Grim Feast. It is so much life. Potentially. All in one huge thing. But I really, really need to cut things. I'm really gonna cut another life gain spell here. I can gain. It's 5 life per artifact that dies. Like, that is so much life when people have, like, treasures and food and clues all over the place. There's so much life. But I'm not losing. Like, I don't have a ton of artifact fodder anymore. Like, Oko was one of my better ones, so I kind of only have Chalk Outline, I think, is my main. I'm gonna make artifacts. Have a land. Where was I going with I don't have a land that can give me this much? Why was that where I was going? I'm starting to. Like, my brain is starting to fog up from all of this, and we're not even at the 50-minute mark yet. Yeah, I think my brain just completely wandered off and started cobbling together bits and pieces for that last sentence. I don't even know what I was saying anymore. Mildly concerning, actually. I think I was almost about ready to just nod off there for a second from staring at these cards. Like, the eye strain is real. I did not get as much sleep as I would have liked last night, and I'm gonna cut Vanguard Marauder, and I'm gonna stop on 69, aren't I? Because I'm starting to drift, and I snapped out of it a little bit there when I realized I have no idea where I was going with that. I don't have a land bit. Like, I know I said those words, and I'm pretty sure the idea was that I don't have a land that's going to replace this, because I think I'm dredging up a bit of the traumatized thing from yesterday, where it's like, I have a land that can replace this. Oh, wait, no, I don't, because that land doesn't let me mill myself. Its target opponent mills half their library. At that point, it's just, no, it's not good enough anymore. I'd say Archmage, but creatures are the thing I have the easiest time getting back. Well, permanents I have an easy time getting back. But a non-legendary creature can basically be grabbed back by everything that gets a card back from my graveyard, so having that as one of my counter spells, even if it's an on-board trick, seems a bit too good. Yeah, this is exactly what's happening. I'm gonna get down to 69 spells. Don't think there's another card I know I can cut at this point, and like I said, I'm drifting, so probably better if I stop now rather than try and force it. I'm not gonna finish today anyway, so this is Fangren Marauder. Yeah, sorry, Fangren Marauder. Maybe I was thinking I don't have land that can produce artifact tokens for me to lose. I don't know. I genuinely have no idea what I was saying there. Other than that, I said I don't have a land. That was the thing that stopped me out of it. It's like, I don't have a land for what? Where was I going with this sentence? Alright, so we'll call it there for right now. I should be able to finish this tomorrow. Should. It might take over an hour, which is depressing to cut 9 cards off this list, but trying to whittle this deck down to exactly what I want it to be is getting more and more difficult. So we'll have to see. But yeah, it's going to do it for me for right now. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.